ahead and call this emergency meeting of the Colfax County Commission to order. First item is, let's do a roll call, commissioners. Commissioner Newton. Here. Commissioner Fernandez. Here. And Commissioner Sobel. We do have a quorum. Next item is to approve the agenda. And the agenda, the sole item on the agenda is the resolution for the Ute Park Fire disaster declaration. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Chairman Sobel, I will move we approve today the agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Newton, second by Commissioner Fernandez to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Which leads us to the item for today, the resolution 2018-16 Ute Park Fire Disaster Declaration. County Manager, do you want to lead off on the?
Yeah, at this time I'd like to turn it over to Thomas B. Hill, the Emergency Management Coordinator, for an update on the fire and kind of we'll give the background of why it's necessary for the declaration.
Thank you. As stated, Tom B. Hill, Colfax County Emergency Management. First off, I want to give you guys some information. The fire right now is being coordinated by a Type 3 team, which is the Northern Region State Forestry Type 3 team. All questions, concerns, and anyone looking for information, specifically official information regarding the fire, should contact this person. It is Wendy Mason. And her information is, we have office number of 505-476-3209, a mobile number of 505-690-8210, and she is Wendy, W-E-N-D-Y, .Mason, M-A-S-O-N, at state.nm.us. She is the PIO State Fire. So for now, anything officially regarding the fire should be sent through them. It's going to go to a Type 1 team, which I'll talk about in a minute, which all that's going to change. But for now, they are the official people as far as fire and what's going on with that. As far as contacts for evacuation, I guess that's going to be me. So I gave you guys my information for contact, and we'll keep coordinating through that. Fire start time was approximately 2 p.m. yesterday in Ute Park. The location was in the backyard of a residence. We do know that no one was occupying the residence at that time. So we're unsure if it's human cause, natural, don't know. Don't know the actual start and origin. Grew within 200 acres in 2 hours. By 4 p.m. we really started throwing a ton of resources on it. By the time darkness fell, we pulled back air ops. We looked at protecting Ute Park and continuing. We were basically looking at this map. It was a corridor 10 miles from Ute Park to the mouth of the canyon and about 3 miles wide at its center. That's when it got dark. Estimate of that was around 6,000 acres. By this morning, it had grown considerably. We didn't have good numbers until we got spotters. The last decent information I got was 12,000 acres. That's old information, and I guarantee you that's no longer decent. So the burn area that we're looking at is going to be something approaching that. It crossed 204 last night. 204 is the road up to Poneal. So we're burning through, including the old burn scar of the Poneal Complex fire. On top of that, we have all that debris on the canyons. I can ignore him. Currently 200 plus personnel working this fire, about 3 dozen Type 6 and Type 3 units. We have aerial resources. They were working yesterday, they were working today. That big DC tanker that kept doing drops on us saved Ute Park. Guarantee we would have lost the town had it not been for that bomber coming in and doing drops. I'm doing my best not to sugarcoat anything, so I'm slightly pessimistic on my view and outlook of this. Best guess probably, like I said, I had good numbers at 12,000. I'm guessing we're 16 plus at this point, probably approaching 20. I think this is going to be, in my guess, 50, 60,000 acre fire when all's said and done. Could even be bigger, I don't know. We are transitioning to a type 1 team, so I know a ton of resources are coming our way. We're not taking this lightly. The plan of attack for this morning, last night we had set a trigger point of 3 miles outside of town for evacuations. We started with recommending non-mandatory evacuations and informing the citizenry of, look, if you're not leaving, at least pack up the truck and get ready. We had what I consider to be a very, very positive response from the locals on that. They understood that we were being serious about this and they took it seriously. We had a number of people leave. Our primary shelter location is the Raton Convention Center. We got that open last night with assistance from our very own here. And so as far as the evacuation, that's the primary location we're going to try and push the village of Cimarron. Philmont has retracted the majority of its staff. They have a couple people down at Rayado and Zastro, but the majority of their 1,100 staff this year are sitting at base camp right now. And they're looking at a secondary evacuation if it comes to that. The main threat to Philmont is going to be air quality standards. I don't think we're looking at a major fire danger to Philmont base camp, but certainly if this column starts shifting south, we'll lose visibility there. Cimarron is already under major air quality issues, and there is what I would consider to be a moderate fire danger. I wouldn't say it's immediate, although that could change in a heartbeat, the way this is advancing. The main plan of attack for today, they had started with some minor dozer trails coming around the heliport, and then one minor one off the ball fields. Then they started, our major concern as of this morning was protecting the Cito Reservoir and the surrounding areas, the combined watershed. The way this was looking, if you're familiar with the layout, Sawmill's over here and Harlan's over here. I guarantee you Harlan's completely gone. I don't know about Sawmill, but it wouldn't surprise me if Sawmill's gone. Deer Lake's right around here. And then Cito's right over here. They started with an existing road, and they bladed that, widened it out. Getting to this section, they're going to start with dozer. It's fairly narrow through there, and then they were going to continue around and join with that Ute Pass road, dropping down into the top end of Cimarron Cito. As far as the effect at Ute Park last night, we did lose over a dozen structures. All those structures were on Cimarron Cito itself, and they were basically condemned structures, non-use, old residences, the old cabins, the corrals up at the top end. Pretty much the boys' camp is what it swept through and took out. So far, no livable residential structures have been affected by this fire. The goal was to get this thing done by this afternoon. If it is successful, like we hope it is, then we're going to essentially protect all of Philmont, including the Cito Reservoir. And then our concern is going to be this top end and the way it's growing. This is advancing rapidly, very, very rapidly. My last guess when I was leaving Cimarron was we had passed the 3 mile mark. So we had already passed the trigger point. We decided this morning to go ahead and order the mandatory evacuation before we even hit that trigger point. Just, I mean, by 5 in the morning, the column was already standing straight up. And that's insane. It's unheard of. I would have expected, 6, 7 in the morning, we start seeing fire behavior, but 5, it was pretty ridiculous. So we decided best to use as much daylight as we have and as much visibility as we had before that column laid down over Cimarron to start getting folks out. There's another dozer line being extended now, running around the top end to tie in with that old fire road that was from the track fire. It's kind of ran across through here. Primary concern on top of the health, I think the Lambert Hills area is my #1 for fire danger. The Pinon Juniper through there is just, it's dense enough that a decent fire will carry through, and with the winds that we have. We're red flag warning until 8 p.m. tonight. We're probably looking at another red flag warning tomorrow. It is possible we might see some precipitation by tomorrow afternoon, evening, although some estimates I've heard put that off until Sunday. But this is not a fire we're going to stop within a week. I'm just not that optimistic on it. So currently, the evacuation, we're sending everyone up 64. We have blockage at 58 and 21. Of course, we have the roadblocks here and on the far side as well. If we do evacuate Philmont, they'll go out 21 to Springer. So that's kind of what I can think of at this point, and then whatever questions you guys have.
How many do we have up at Philmont? How many people do we have up at Philmont?
There's 11,000 staff at Philmont right now.
1,100.
Or 11,000. And then Cimarron is another 1,100 residents, Los Alamos. Philmont has, they're working on their buses and personal owned vehicles for evacuation. And then the schools actually brought in the buses. With the schools, right? Yes. Schools brought in the buses for evacuation for anyone that needs it out of Cimarron. We have a very large law enforcement presence in Cimarron right now. Over a dozen state police. Most of the county sheriff's units are working roadblocks in the surrounding area. We do have 1 or 2 in town. And then we have a half dozen game wardens as well. So we will be actively patrolling Cimarron. We're also going to send in over some fire units to start patrolling town. So that way if we get any spot fires kicking over from the ash, we'll be able to hit them right away. I'm fairly optimistic on our ability to defend Cimarron, but you never know how it can happen.
Any other questions for Thomas?
So yeah, to close out, I strongly recommend we set an emergency declaration at this point. I've also strongly recommended to the Village of Cimarron to do the same. Also, from this point on, from the county's perspective and from the village perspective, we need to not only document absolutely everything from this point forward, but we need to go back and document anything previous. So any hours that you yourselves have devoted to this, those count, even if it's unpaid hours, towards any sort of matching that we would need to do if we approach the federal government regarding reimbursements for any of this. So absolutely everything that's done from this point forward, any equipment used, any personnel used, any resource that we devote towards this fire as a whole, we need to document and track.
There's no major livestock concentrations in the current path of the fire, is there?
Aside from the horses at the chase, no. But if this thing progresses,
right,
and the winds keep carrying, yeah, we're going to hit up into the Vol. We're going to hit over into Vermejo Park really quickly. And then we're going to be watching 64 like a hawk. If it jumps south, a lot of the fine fuels running out here, they've been mowed down pretty well with livestock, but we do have some sections where it'll just rip through.
Resources being used for those lines, is it county equipment and combination of city equipment or private? I know there's some private people brought some dozers in there.
The majority is private. And so those hours are being tracked by forestry. And so they'll be able to provide us with any information regarding that.
Are we using any of the road and bridge up in that area at all, or
At this time, we haven't.
we haven't?
I talked to Thomas about it, but at this time, we haven't.
Okay.
country's really too rough for what equipment we have.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless we get out on the flats, we could use our blades, but up in that rough country, we just don't have the proper equipment.
Yeah, we'll tear up our stuff maybe if we had our newer stuff in. But
Well, I just
might
thought
not
of
like to tear up this brand new equipment either.
You mentioned earlier that behind Cimarron, behind the ballpark, there might be some dozer work back there. I was just wondering if we were back there or somebody else gonna be doing that work or,
I think that one was actually
See this?
CS or Sandra, or I know a bunch of people were bringing
So
out
the
equipment.
village, we're running our blade in town as well, cutting some of these lines. We have a blade through the village, and so we are making some of these right near the baseball field and stuff like that.
okay.
So,
Mhm.
I did have a question for Thomas, if that would be okay for me to ask.
Sure.
Should we be prepared for any kind of flash flooding? We're supposed to expect rains on Sunday, and my concern is now with that burn through the canyon, should we expect to see that water just rush down?
I don't think it's significant enough rain projected to cause that.
Okay, good.
We would be talking in the neighborhood of probably 2 inches plus over a short time period in order to see what I would guess to be major flash flooding, although don't discount it. We've seen worse, you know. We saw 10 inches in an hour 5 years ago, so. And that was mid-June.
According to the weather report, some of this activity could be violent, which hail, lightning, so I mean, but we don't know.
Yeah, it's a big question mark. We do have sandbags stockpiled. We just need the dirt to fill them. Which there's plenty of bare ground now. Side note, I should also add, State Highway's gonna have their work cut out for them. 64's torn up bad, very bad. Guardrails completely burnt down. Some of the bridges and underpasses have been tore up. So, not sure on how long the closure on 64 is gonna last, but it could be quite some time.
Is there to be contacted District 4 on that? I'm sure they're in with you
they're
guys.
out.
They're now, okay.
But at this point, it's far too
Can't do
active for them to go in and
Yeah,
start
can't do
poking.
nothing, but they are aware of the situation.
Yeah, it's, the corridor through here, that 10 miles, it's dangerous to drive. Not only lack of visibility, but now we have a lot of the burns falling across the road. And so just out of the blue, 26-inch tree drops in front of you. It's exciting.
Thomas, do you foresee the National Guard coming out there, especially towards Cimarron, if it gets worse?
Yeah, we've already talked with the Guard, in particular about opening up for sheltering in Springer. We've discussed the possibility, especially if this runs long-term, keeping folks out of Cimarron, then we're definitely going to need to bring in the Guard because we're going to run out of law enforcement really quickly.
I'd spoke to Under Sheriff Baca, and he was concerned about it as well, and would like us to at least have guard on alert and probably bring them in, if at all possible, to just to monitor the streets of Cimarron and for minimize looting or anything like that.
Right.
I had the same discussion, and I took my my charge to go ahead and order that up. So it's gone through the state EOC, and they've already prepared the paperwork, sent it up to the governor's office, that way we get full authorization. And they had talked about, well, do you just want to do it locally? And I said, well, it's going to look a lot better if we run it all the way up to the governor and back down. So that way, if there's any questions about us deploying the Guard, we can say, came from the state, not from us.
Good.
Okay. Other questions? Thank you, Thomas.
So I think you can see that we're under a very critical situation here. We anticipated this even last night when I talked to Thomas, that this was going to become necessary, and obviously it has. I think it's probably even worse than what we might have anticipated. So I think it's in the best interest of the county and the citizens of the area that we declare the disaster. That way we can free up resources and move as quickly as possible on them.
Discussion?
No.
Enter entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2018-16.
Chairman Saul, I'll make a motion that we approve Resolution 2018-16, Ute Park Fire Disaster Declaration.
I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Commissioner Fernandez, second by Commissioner Newton to approve Resolution 2018-16, Ute Park Fire Disaster Declaration. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes. From this point, the resolution, the disaster declaration will go to the state for. Okay, is there any further discussion on today's agenda on the fire?
No, Mr. Chairman, thank you for the update.
Matthew, or anybody have anything you'd like to add?
I just want to say thank you to Thomas. He's done a great job of keeping us informed in the community. I mean, we've been able to keep our community informed because Thomas has done a great job with this. So just thank you to the county for all your guys' help. We do appreciate it.
I just want to tell Thomas thank you and all the firefighters from the county. You guys, I know you haven't got a whole lot of rest, and we don't look forward to these disasters like this, but anything that this commission can do to help you guys, don't hesitate to to ask us, because that's what we're here for, and we want to make sure that this gets done, and hopefully nobody gets hurt through this whole process. Be careful out there, and you guys are well trained, and just thank you for doing what you guys do.
Okay, seeing nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Motion adjourned.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Newton, seconded by Commissioner Fernandez to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, we are adjourned.